Hello, everybody. Gwen Elliott here, and I'm so thrilled to bring you another episode in the Start Something Big worldwide interview series. And really, over this series, I'm going to be interviewing one entrepreneur from every country in the world. Why? Well, to serve as a reminder that we're all in this together and that we all have the power to start something big. And I am so thrilled today to bring you perhaps one of my favorite people in the entire world, Hanny Kusumawati from Bogor, Indonesia. Hey, Hanny, how's it going?
Hi, what's up?
Oh,
Right
selamat
here.
pagi.
Selamat pagi. Oh my God. You still remember that. Selamat pagi
I
means good morning. So good
I
morning from
think just say good morning, right? Fantastic. Well, Hani, I am just so thrilled to have the chance to interview you today. And full disclosure, everyone, I'm actually friends with Hani, and we met at an amazing, not conference, but life event called Awesomeness Fest. We met in Bali, and we truly bonded over our passion for education and our desire to bring more to the current education system to make it more experiential. And we're creating a project called GPS University, which we'll probably talk about at some point. But yeah, I'm just so thrilled to share with you a bit more about Hani's story. So I'm going to give a bit of a background, and then we'll launch right into how she started on her entrepreneurial path. So Hani is the co-founder of Coin a Chance. She's a published author, a photographer, a designer, and a true creativepreneur. I think she made that word. I love that word. I hope you made it up, Hani. Uh,
So I think it's already there around, I guess.
well, I love it. And I'd love for you to share with everyone how you began, how you started on your entrepreneurial path.
So actually, I think this is more of an irony, but I think it's also a blessing in disguise. But I learned about entrepreneurship when I was still working full time.
Hmm.
So it's another thing that, people always said, quit your job and everything. But, who knows? I found my entrepreneurial skills while I was working for someone else in a consultancy. I was working in a communications consultancy, actually. And, at like probably my fifth year there, I got the opportunity to set up my own brand inside the company. So in a way, that's my entrepreneurship inside the company I'm working in. And it grows really fast, from 2 people to 12 people in less than a year. And then we work with great clients as well, like Google and Coca-Cola and a lot of big names like that. And that's when I started to get familiar into entrepreneurship, because I used to be really afraid of being an entrepreneur, because I think all of us in a way were scared of something that is uncertain, that's just inside of us. Uncertainties, scares us in a way. And entrepreneurship are full of uncertainties, because I think then you're responsible not only for you but also for people who's working with you, and it's a big responsibility. But when I learned about building my own brands at the company, then I started to see that it can be done. It's not something impossible, and it's not really that difficult if you really love the business that you're running, and if you really love the people you're working with, of course. So I think that's where I started to see that, oh, so this is how to become an entrepreneur, to, start thinking of the things that you never thought about when you're still an employee, including HR and all the things that I'm bad at, like accounting.
Right.
And
Well,
you
that's
know, you know, profit and loss and everything. But that's just something that we have to do, or at least we have to know, you know, before we're starting entrepreneurship. So that's how I started. And like 2 years ago, actually a friend of mine and myself, actually, we love photography and making videos. So even when we used to work in the same company as well. So in our off days, sometimes we make videos of our colleagues or our friends, or making pictures and everything just for fun. Until one day she got married, and actually she asked me to make a video for her pre-wedding, and it's like a movie, so it's like a movie script, and I put on the scenes, and these are the wordings, and then they produce the video, and it's just for fun. It's like a gift from me to her. But then it got big, during her wedding day, and after that, her friends are asking her like, how'd you come up with this? Who's making it? If I want to make something like this, who should I call and how much is it? And so she got back to me and asked me that like, my friend wants this, like how much is it? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know. I just made it for you. It's a gift. And so there we saw an opportunity that people actually want something like this, a pre-wedding video, which is, not only shooting random scenes, but actually like a short movie, 3 to 5 minute short movie with a story that is actually telling the story of their lives. So that's how we started Sunday and Sunflowers, which is basically a photography, videography, and design business to help, wedding couples. And it's also one thing that we're thinking of is, we said that a lot of photographers and a lot of videographers out there. And so how could we stand out? So in our case, what differentiates us is, we have a vintage and artsy kind of feel to everything that we do, and our shots are candid. So it's not like, you get them doing it. Okay, so turn then and look at the stars and point at these and at the sea or something. But we actually go with the couples for a day, for instance, and, just let them walk around and talk and then capture that moment because we think that, that's the moment where it's not fake, you're not acting, it comes naturally. So that's one of the things that we do. So that's how I started my entrepreneurship life with Sunday and Sunflowers. And we're still going until today. But not only pre-wedding, people also ask us to shoot maternity, babies, as well as food photography. So that's how it started, actually.
Wow. Well, one thing, so Sunday and Sunflowers. So you had been working, was it almost 9 years at, was it Maverick, and working your way, up and kind of being, taking a real intrapreneurial approach. So can you tell us about the day that you handed in your resignation and saying, okay, I'm going to go out and truly do my own thing?
Oh, that was actually quite an emotional day
Yeah.
because I really love it. Probably some people leave because it just doesn't. It's something that they already hate for a long time, and they just want to quit this long time, and then they decide I want to quit. But with me, it's not like that. I love it. I love working there, and I really think of my bosses as my mentors. Actually, they make me who I am today, and they're very supportive in whatever venture that I'm into, even until today. And we're still working together for some services as well. So I'm still servicing them, so they're my clients in a way.
Mm.
So it's emotional because they're my teachers, they're my mentors. But I have discussed this with them as well for I think in the past 1 to 2 years. We've been discussing about what is it for me next, because I think I've been in the position where it's very comfortable. I'm very familiar with the industry and the business and, basically with the whole layers in the company to an extent that, the option is just do I want to stay here and doing this on a comfort level, or I want to go out, stepping out of this comfort zone and try something else. So I decided that I think almost like 8.5 years, 9 years in an agency is a long time.
Mhm.
So probably it's like 20 or 30 years in the corporate world. So I think it's time. It's just time. When it's time. I think I've learned a lot, everything that I need to learn, and I've built my confidence in the company actually to then go out and say, in a way like, hey, I'm graduating from this company, and now it's time for me to bring whatever I learned there to the world through my entrepreneurial, skills now.
Absolutely. Well, I know I guess it's a universal experience where, you get into a real comfort zone. Things are going great, but just as a human being, we want more, it's almost nuts in a way. You finally get into a really great place. Things are stable, and you're like, I don't really like this as much as I thought I would.
And what's interesting is that when you say we always want more, I used to think about it that way as well. But in other way, you can see it like we need to know. when enough is enough. In the sense that sometimes you have learned so much, and then okay, you've kind of say like well-rounded in the area, and that's enough. Do you really want to stay there, or then you say, that's enough. I've experienced that. So now, we're moving on. So it's not really about wanting up for more, but knowing that it's enough. Your time here is enough. So now we're going to fill ourselves with some new things.
Oh man, I just have a few friends right now that have been in their jobs for 8 years or so, kind of a very similar situation as to what you were in, but they haven't made the leap quite yet. So what
Mhm.
advice would you give to people who know they're going to go out on their own, but might be still holding back because they're scared or just there's something holding them back? What advice would you have for those people?
Well, first is that I guess you don't have to leave. So you don't feel the pressure like I have to leave and I have to launch into entrepreneurship. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I respect people who are still working in a company. They have their own contribution as well, and I respect them and salute to them. And if they really love it, because I know some people who are really into their work and they love it. It's not just like I'm here and I hate it and I just have to do it. They love it. Stay. If you love it and you're happy there, stay. But if you feel like you always want to do something else, but just haven't had the courage to do that, then you started to think whether you want to leave or not. But I think the bottom line is if you're happy with what you're doing now, either in the company or entrepreneur, stay. Stay there. And so if you feel that urge, like, I want to move on and I want to start into entrepreneurship. I think one thing that you need to ask yourself as well is, or please know that some people said, when you're working something that is close to your passion, you will never have to work or worry again all your life.
Yeah, yeah.
That's I think that's the honeymoon period because when people launch into a new business or new venture, you're so fired up. This is what you love, photography, and imagining you don't have to wake up early, for instance, and then you can arrange your own schedules. But after the honeymoon period is over, the reality kicks in. Okay, sometimes you still need to work with difficult clients. Sometimes you need to still do follow-up calls. You need to work on the finance part. You need to work with partners or third parties that doesn't turn out good enough or doesn't turn out on time for the shoot. You still have to wake up very early in the morning to chase the sunlight. So there are a lot of things that it's not just the honeymoon period. So I think one of the things that you need to think about before launching into entrepreneurship is also whether you are committed enough to stay in there and be persevere enough in that after the honeymoon period is over. And I think it's good to talk to another entrepreneurs first and try to get more information about, for instance, finance and accounting, and all the administration stuff that is, there's a lot of small things, but it's very important to keep the business running. Another thing is, do you have, for instance, a partner to whom you can actually bounce back ideas and probably he or she can complement you in areas that you're not so strong at.
Mhm.
It's also something that you need to work on. And I think these things, you can do this while you're still in your job. So even before quitting, these are the things that you can start doing this. You still have the comfort of your job, but start thinking and planning it. So I don't believe in, you just resign and quit and then plan. I think you plan while you're in the job and then quit when the plan is solid and you finally get the base. Like in my case, the photography business is already there, but then we already got clients, and then we can quit and then launch into entrepreneurship. So I think it's a more realistic thing, which is for me. But if people are very courageous to just quit and then think about it later, it's great too. But for me, I like to have certain things that I can control a little bit. So that's my option. So I guess those are the things that you still can do, and even I think one of the best way is when you're still in your job, just try to offer your service for free
Hmm.
first. Then you get, your client spaces, you get the words out, you can have testimonials and everything. So when you launch it, when you resign and quit and then you want to launch this business, at least you already have a portfolio and people who will preach for your greatness. And I think this can still be done in your spare time, in weekends, for instance, and offer this service for free to friends or people who knows you. And it's going to be a great basis and build your confidence towards launching your next business.
Right. I love the way that I feel like there's so much, I don't know, it's so glamorized, especially in North America, the idea of people just quitting their job and like just figuring it out from nothing. Um, so that's put on a pedestal here. I don't know if it is in Indonesia where you are, but I really think what people really do who are very successful is that they do plan, while they're on the weekends or, the evenings when they're in their current job. So they have yeah, as you were saying, building your confidence after you take the leap. So, what have you found has been your greatest challenge since truly stepping on an entrepreneurial path full time?
Administrative stuff.
The non-creative side.
I know. Money and all the notes and all the files are, and like when you take pictures, you take hundreds and thousands of pictures and how we store it, and it's a mess. I have to admit it was a mess. And my partner and I were both the creative type because we're both the photographer and videographer. But she's more into design while I was more into concept and copywriting. But we're both that kind of person. So for the first year, we're struggling so much with admin stuff, and it was crazy. But then we realized that we can't go on like this, and we need to be humble enough to say that we cannot do this, and decide whether we want to invest in someone who can really take care of the admin stuff, which we cannot do. And so that's actually what we're working on right now. And gladly that this past, I think, 5 months, we already have someone who is really good and really happy to scrutinize our files and everything and the finance report and things. So now she takes care of all the admin stuff, including our scheduling and communicating with clients before they meet us. And so it's like lifting up something from both of us and say, hey, we should have done this earlier. I think when I think I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but one of the challenge of entrepreneurship is like when you feel like you can't be so I don't know, in a way not careless, but we're so careful with the money that comes. And we said, oh my God, what if we hire another people? We need to pay them monthly and this and that, and we try to keep that money safe instead of keep it flowing. I think that's one of the ego in us that say, we just want to keep it small, and it's just the two of us, and we can handle this. But then you realize that, in a way, you're also you need to push yourself as well to get this flowing, and to work even better. You need this person, and for you to need this person, you need to invest in it. So I think that's one thing that is one of our biggest challenge as well. But we're happy that we actually decide then, no, we need this person.
Oh man, I so appreciate your honesty because I know so many people can relate to this where you're like, wait, but if I hire on another person, like what if somehow the money runs out or like what are we going to do? But it's amazing like when you actually hire this person on that like you're just free to do what you do best and more money will come in. How do you deal with it when kind of fear pins you to the wall, so to speak? Like when fear just comes up, like what strategies or what do you do to kind of not let fear run the show?
I take a cold shower and sleep. That's good to wake me up and
Yeah.
for a while. But then I think fear is we're always afraid things that we don't know. Like a lot of like our childhood, we're afraid of the dark because we don't know what is it that's looming in the dark. But I guess when I got afraid, most of the time I tried to understand what is it that makes me afraid of this. Let's say, okay, I'm afraid that I don't get enough clients this month.
Mhm.
And then why am I afraid that I'm not going to get clients, as much clients this month? Probably because I haven't really planned on how to get clients. We haven't planned any promotion for this month, or for the next for the previous 2 months, the clients decreased. So what is it? You need to understand that fear. So instead of indulge yourself in that fear, try to dissect that fear. What caused it? What caused your worries? And once you get it laid down on the paper, it doesn't really terrifies you anymore because you can see, for instance, okay, I'm afraid I won't get enough clients because I haven't done any promotion activities this month. Then you start planning. Okay, so I need to do this promotion activities this month and start planning it. So you channel the energy of fear into action. Okay, so because then after you lie down, what is it that you're really afraid of and why? And then you can plan
I will be doing that. Um, no, I think that's such great advice because sometimes, you get the feelings of fear, but you don't actually allow yourself to understand why you're afraid. And no, I think that's really powerful. Just giving yourself the space to dissect it, and then you're like, oh, that's why I'm afraid, and then you can kind of unravel it. I want to talk to you about Coin a Chance, and I want to share with everyone what it is and how you created it, and just share with us all about Coin a Chance.
Okay, so basically, Hanny Chance is a social movement that started in 2008. In a way, it started out accidentally. So my friend and I, we have a jar of coins in our desk. So it's just coins stacking up in our desk, and it's a big jar of coins. And we realized that I don't know how it's in other countries, but in Indonesia, a lot of people have that habit of
Mhm.
stacking their coins in a jar
We do too.
because
Totally.
because especially here, the value has decreased a lot. The value of coins. So when people receive loose changes, for instance, and they carry it in their pocket, it's so heavy. So they just stack it in a jar in their home. So we have our own coin jars as well. And we said, like, what do people actually do with their stack of
Look at
coins?
them.
Yeah. And so we're like, hey, it's actually what if we count our coin jar and see how much that we have. So at the time, I think we have around 60 bucks
Hmm.
for coins. And I said, wow, this is actually a lot. And it actually can help send a kid back to school. You know, for elementary school, it can support him for at least a year. And so we start, hey, it's a good idea. What if we actually do it? Get people to collect their coins, and we can help the children go back to school with the coins. And so that's how the idea was started. But then I think it was actually the idea came out in 2007. And then we talked to several people, and they said, no, it won't work.
Hmm.
Because it's just too messy to get all these coins, and people have to bring jars of happy coins someplace. It's just too time consuming, and there must be an easier way. So we decided to postpone that idea until December 2008, like a year after that, when we said, hey, it's fine if people don't want to participate in it. Let's just do this, us and probably friends who would buy the idea. So don't bother of, having a lot of people showing up. Let's just have 5 people and, send one kid back to school. That's enough, right? And so, yeah. So I was a blogger, and I have a blog. everybodydesign.com, and I actually post that idea on my blog and say, hey friends, we're going to do this, and if you're interested in it, just come over and let's do this. And to our surprise, people are responding to that idea very well. A lot of influential bloggers actually reblog that and
Hmm.
share with their friends. So in an instant, like suddenly it was big, and we were so surprised because we, at our first collecting day, that's how we said when we get people come up to donate their coins, we expect like 5 people, and it turns out 35 people.
Whoa.
So yeah, so so they bring their families, their kids, and the kids are very happy because they bring their piggy banks, and their mom say, "Yeah, you will help another kid go to school." So they're very happy, like counting all the coins because, like, here, especially in Indonesia, like parents usually get mad at their kids and they play with coins because it's dirty and everything. But now, they're happily stacking these coins, knowing that they do this for good, and we're so touched by that. And the story goes out, and then the media started coming in. The journalists started posting stories about us and publishing articles about us, and companies and corporations also heard about this movement and they want to support. Like we've been supported by the Body Shop, for instance, and Coca-Cola, Citibank. They
That's
actually,
amazing.
yeah, and some embassies like Australian
What?
embassy, US embassy, they actually have jars of coins in their office, or people can just stack it up. And like offices, they also have several departments putting jars on the desk so that employees can actually drop their coins there, and every month they will throw in the coins into our collecting day. So it's been a great experience. Now we have coin champs in 10 cities, and it was amazing to have people actually do something big from something really small like coins.
That is so beautiful. Do you know at this point how much money you've raised or how many kids have been able to go back to school because of because of your idea?
Now it's about, I think we've raised so far in 5 years from individuals and corporations around $50,000, and yeah, and we've sent around 30 kids back to school right now. It's actually for Cornet Champs, we have committed, like if we give the money for them for elementary school, for instance, we're gonna keep on funding them until they graduate from high school. So the money will go every year for this.
That's absolutely amazing. Is there a way that people from, like, say, North America or other places in the world can support you?
Yes. um, you can set your coins in a way. If that's not too heavy or will give you some problems at the airport security check. But for instance, if you, if you have friends coming over to Indonesia, wanting to visit some of the great place here and just have a good time, and then you want to bring your jar of coins, that would be great as well. And what's good is that if you're flying from the Soekarno-Hatta airport, which is the international airport from Jakarta, you can go to the Terminal 3. There's a Mandala, Tiger Air Mandala counter, and they've been our partner, so you can actually put your coins in their counter and it will go to Point Chance.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow, I didn't even realize just how big, you guys have gone with it. Congratulations, and I imagine, what's your vision, say, for the next 3 to 5 years with Coin a Chance?
What we really love to do right now is, having, I think, like a mobile school or something like that, so we can go because like we're in 10 cities across Indonesia, and Indonesia is an archipelago, so we really want to reach out to these kids as well in different islands. So this um, mobile library or mobile classroom would be more to equip these kids with practical knowledge and life skills, because a lot of these kids comes from underprivileged families, and they're really smart, but because of the environment where they grew up in, they're lacking in confidence compared to kids from wealthier family. A lot of them are very shy. They're afraid to make mistakes. So they always feel like I'm nobody, and how can I compete with that? Sometimes they don't want to dream big or don't have the courage to dream big because they're always told by their parents, don't dream too big because this is only this that we can afford.
Mhm.
So I think it's something that is stuck with them somehow subconsciously, and it's one thing that we really want to change, to say that no, you're just as good as anyone else. You can be confident when you're speaking in public. This is how you need to practice. So these are the things that we hope that we can also teach these kids, because now they're already in school. Um, they have the academic lessons that they need. So we want to add up the life skills as well, and we're still looking um, forward to work with some volunteers as well, to work with these kids and boost up their confidence and life skills so that they can compete in real world.
Wow, Hanny, that's just absolutely amazing. And you'll be getting some coins from Canada. Actually, I'm in San Francisco right now, but you'll be getting my coins as soon as I get back to my coins because I have a lot of coins. Yeah, because I think that must be a universal thing where people just, you don't want to carry your change in your pocket, you throw it in some kind of jar, and then you don't touch it again. I have like coins everywhere, so I need to give them to you. I realize time is flying by here, but I want to share a bit about your experience as a published author and your writings and the traveling words. You're just such a beautiful writer, and I'd just love for you to share with people a bit more about that.
So I have always into writing, even before I can write. So like in 3 years old, I haven't been able to write, but I have pretended to write. And I think it's true when people say, pretend to be it until you be it.
Yes.
So I'm pretending to be a writer since I was 3 years old, and now I'm
Wow.
a writer. I even have a writing glasses that makes me look a little bit nerdy.
Amazing.
But my vision is actually perfect, but I just put it on to be in my, writer's mood sometimes. But what's interesting is I started by writing a blog. So at first, just me reading it, and then it grows. I started blogging in 2005, and it's still there until today, the same blog with some old postings that sometimes make me embarrassed when I read it again.
Wait, what's the link again to your blog so everyone can check it out?
Beradadisini.com.
I'll share it as well. Yeah,
And,
that's a
yeah.
commitment though, because like when you start in 2005 and what's this year? It's 2014. Like who you are 7 years ago is completely different, but you're willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and there were times when I think like I need to delete this stuff, but then I said no, it's a part of me. So people can also read this post and see, hey, that's me before, and this is who I am now. It's part of the journey, and I'm proud of that.
Mhm.
And then published actually my first book is a duet with a journalist, actually one of Indonesia's top journalists. It's called 28 Days, and it's available in English and Indonesian edition. It's published via a self-publishing platform in Indonesia called nulisbuku.com. So it's like lulu.com
Mm.
or direct publishing. So we published it there, and it received very good reviews. And people quote things from the book all the time, even until today. So actually, that's the first thing that we do, self-publish, and then editors from, um, publishing company, the conventional publishing company, heard about that and read that, and they love it, and that's how they know me and started asking me to join for, anthology series and everything. So it's actually, so I never started being a published writer by sending my manuscripts to publishers. I publish it through the blog and then self-publish my book and then the mainstream publisher heard about that,
Hmm.
and there comes and offer the opportunity. So yeah, so that's one thing that becomes one of the, I think, a different journey, because a lot of writers sometimes ask me, how do you go into the publishing industry and get when your manuscript being rejected and something like that. And I said, I never sent my manuscript to any publisher.
You just
I
did
just
it.
publish it. Yeah,
I
I
think
just put it
that's
out
really,
there.
I think that's a real universal question. I don't know, it doesn't matter what country you're in, but people really want to write. They want to share their stories, they want to share their journey, and people are so curious about, the best way to publish a book, and, the whole other kind of can of worms or conversation about should you go with a, traditional publisher or self-publish, but you took the self-publishing route and it's leading to bigger things. So that's really exciting. And
Yeah.
is there anything in your journey that I didn't ask you? We're going to ask you some rapid fire questions, of course, but is there anything that I didn't touch on, anything that you're super passionate about or that you'd want to share with the world that I didn't ask you about yet?
No, you actually did ask, but I forgot to mention. To reply to that, you actually mentioned about the Traveling Words, which is a new venture that we just launched this year with a friend of mine who's also a writer and a speaker. So the Traveling Words is basically a writing retreat program. If
Oh.
you think that you cannot write, then this is something that you want to join in, because we're not going to talk about, the technique to write or how to form a good sentence. Just forget those technical stuff and start with the basic things about writing, which is being honest to yourself and who you are. Because, a lot of people, a lot of us, if you see the movies or read the books and we're talking about being sad, we're still borrow the sadness from somewhere else. Like it's gonna be us with very sad songs walking on the streets and it's raining and dim lights and everything. But I don't think we're sad that way. I don't know. I don't really go out finding rains when I'm sad, or going to a coffee shop and sit prettily and looking sad. I don't. So I'll be all ugly and not having a
Yep.
shower for a
Yep.
day and just in my bed and weeping and punching my pillows. So, but do we as a writer have that ability and that confidence to be honest to that feelings? Because I think honesty is one thing that brings vitality to everything that you write. Because you're sad in the different way of me being sad, and I think we always think that someone else's stories is more interesting than our life story,
Hmm.
which I used to think that way too, but it's not. We always interested in someone else's story because they're not similar to ours, and that's basic. So if your story starts to sound similar to others or some other movies or some other books, then what's the difference? Why do I read yours instead of watching a movie, for instance? So traveling words is more about we do free writing exercises where you just need to write for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you cannot stop writing. You just have to keep the pen moving, and we'll ask you a lot of questions, including sadness, anger, heartbreak, or write about people that you're thinking about at the moment. What are you going to say to them? And just write it down and let your feelings flow into the paper, and then you can see yourself more clearly and understand yourself clearer after that. So it works for business too, because like for instance, you have fears about your business or your entrepreneurship, then sit down and write it down. Don't stop. Just write it down until you finally understand what the fear is about. So that's the kind of experience that you get in the traveling words.
Oh, that's amazing. How often is it, do we just not experience the
Well,
emotions and just kind of let them be
yeah.
muffled or whatever that word is, so could people fly in to Indonesia or is it in Bogor or is it in Jakarta or where is it?
Right now it's still in Jakarta. So, but we're planning to do some retreats, some traveling retreats, because that's the idea, traveling works. So
Yeah.
probably in Canada or in,
Whoa, that's awesome.
or in Malaysia. So because this is new, so we're starting now. It's just once a month. And we've been working with corporations as well. Surprisingly, they're very open to send their employees in and start digging their own life story through this writing retreat. And then this month we're going to open one more for public. And then so after that, hopefully, probably in mid of this year, we started getting, full force on this and start opening more rapid classes everywhere.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's such a service that the world needs. I mean, how many people, I run into people all the time that want to write their story, share their story, but they don't know where to begin. It just, the idea of sitting, like, how do you start? Like, do you literally just sit down with a piece of paper? Should you just start typing? People love a bit of guidance.
Everybody look at a notebook because at the end of the day, we're full of your writings.
Oh, and there's something so beautiful about actually writing as opposed to typing. Like typing's great, but like writing is so, so beautiful. So notebooks. You're bringing back notebooks. Thank God. So, Hanny, I want to ask you a couple of quick rapid fire type questions for folks that don't know much about Indonesia, don't know much about Bogor or Jakarta or any major cities, and want to learn a little bit more about your beautiful country. So let's start with this. What's the one thing, if you were to pick one thing, that everyone needs to know about Jakarta? Sorry, not Jakarta, Indonesia.
Okay, that we have more than 13,000 islands, and you can find everything from volcanoes to white sand, pristine beaches to tropical rainforests, and to the sand and mountains, everything.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful. What are some of your delicacies or food kind of dishes that you're known for?
So it's actually different from the western part to the eastern part of Indonesia. But like our national food is nasi goreng, which is fried rice. It's different from Chinese fried rice, for instance, because we're using soy sauce and loads of meats in it. And basically, fried rice is your creation. You can put everything in there. That's the most common thing in street stalls in Jakarta or any parts of Indonesia. And then we have fries, which is, you fried bananas or tofu or tempeh or different kind of rice, and it's everywhere on the street. And that's basically one of our fast food breakfasts here. You just grab one from the street stall and go to the office eating fries, deep fried stuff. And then we also have like grilled stuff like satay, which is like a barbecue. But I think the point is that we use a lot of spices in the food.
What are some of the, say, the top spices that are most used?
Onion, garlic, cumin, and a lot of herbs like. Okay, now I need to uh, more, but like all the herbs. It's basically we during the old days we used to have traders from India and the Middle East. So they bring a lot of spices from there to Indonesia, and Indonesia is basically one of the country where we have lots of spices as well, like cloves and pepper and everything. We have islands where we have all these fresh herbs. So it's a big part of,
Mm,
of it.
and healthy
And
for you as well to
especially
balance out the fried. um, what would you say is a tourist attraction that people kind of go to see when they go to Indonesia? And then what's your advice on like local places that you really like to go to?
okay, that's very difficult because there's
Different
so much
places.
there. Because if you love beaches, of course, as an archipelago country, we have loads of beaches and also mountains. If you love hiking, because we're on the Ring of Fire and we have a lot of active volcanoes. So if you're there for a lot of adrenaline rush in the mountains, come here. We also have tropical forests, rainforests, so you can go there and spend nights in the forest and also, meet some orangutans and stay in their compounds for the conservation and help feed orangutans and release them back to nature.
Hmm.
That's something that you can do as well. If you love cultures, we have a very rich history and culture, and you can go to a lot of places, temples and living at the traditional houses and just be with the people, learn how to, do batik, which is one of the UNESCO heritage culture from Indonesia. So you can learn to draw in your clothes and painting in our clothes. So those are some of the things that you can do. So whether you love culture or adventure, or lazing on the beach, or even going out for wild parties at night in the clubs in town, we have it.
And let's see. Okay, so you're making me want to go, first of all. Go back. That just sounds like such a beautiful, it is such a beautiful country. And on a different note, I have two more questions for you, but they're about you. What is your favorite book,
My favorite book.
if you
Okay,
have one?
I have one actually, and it's quite new.
Hmm.
It's a book from Nick Miller called "Isn't It Pretty to Think So?"
Hmm.
So it's basically a novel, and it's the kind of I got that book from I got that book online actually, purchased it online, and it's really good that I actually read it like 4 times back to back.
Wow.
I've never done that before, and every time I read it, I always find something new. And I think it's something that is speak very true for our generation because it's about this guy, soul searching about what he's gonna do. He always wanted to be a writer, and then he set off on a journey to become a writer, but found himself not writing the
Mm,
whole time.
mhm.
And started to think, what am I doing here, partying and doing this and that, and always have that restlessness about what can I contribute to the world. I don't want to do like big stuff like launching a big movement or going to build a school in Africa, for instance. I'm just a regular guy who loves to party and eat Thai food and hang out with my buddy. But I think deep down inside he has that restlessness and that question of how I can connect to people and how can I connect to the world and how to find myself in the world. So I think that's a really interesting reading, which makes me think a lot actually because it's our generation. We have Facebook and all the social media convenience, and you know, that's mind blowing.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. I need to get that book like tonight. And my final question to you, Hani, is if you could go back and give yourself advice when you were kind of first starting out in the working world, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give yourself?
It's possible. That's my advice because I think a lot of times I doubt myself. I think we all do sometimes, and when you look at yourself now, you have never imagined like you you actually can do the things that you have always dreamed of. And if I can go back to that time, I would say to myself, when I was down and think that, you won't be able to do that. I want to nurture and say, hey, it's possible because, it's already there in the future.
That is beautiful and advice that we can all take to heart. So how would people connect with you if they want to read your blog or follow you on Twitter or, hire you? How do we connect with you?
So you can search me in Google, Hanny Kusumawati. It will show up my LinkedIn profile and my blog, or go to my blog at beradadisini.com. It actually, an Indonesian word means something like I'm here right now, which I am in that blog. And also follow my Twitter at beradadisini.
Perfect. Well, Hanny, I cannot thank you enough for your time today. And we'll definitely be sharing, all the links so people can follow you and also donate their coins to you as well. So for So for everyone watching today, just thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Start Something Big. Hanny, of course, thank you so much for representing all of Indonesia in this interview series. And to everyone watching today, I hope this really inspired you, to realize that we're not so different. We're a world apart, but we still have so many things in common and are on such similar paths. So reminder to you today that you have the power right now to start something big.